Yo, so this melee Vex build is pretty OP. I am not gonna lie. All of these clips were taken in True UVH 6, by the way, and watch Bloomreaper disappear. You ready? You ready? There he goes. There it is. Oh my god, it is so fun. It's really, really strong, as you can see, but it also lets you use the Reapers, which in my opinion are so much more fun than the Eldritch Blast. I don't really like the Eldritch Blast ability. Yeah, this build's really, really strong, and it's even stronger now that the level cap is increased to level 60. So I'm going to show you exactly how to do it and how to be this OP. Let's get into it. Alright, Vex Melee Reaper build. Now, as I said before, this build is a lot stronger now that we can hit level 60 with those 10 extra skill points. And I'll show you exactly where I put them, because I did do kind of an overview on this build about a week and a half ago. So I'm not going to go into as much detail about all the options and all the skills and exactly, what they do and why we pick them or optimizations or anything like that. If you do want to see all of that stuff, go and check out that video. I posted it about a week and a half before this one. It's called Vex Melee Reaper build. Yeah, so anyway, getting into it, the first point we're going into is Fell Inscriptions, giving you melee damage. Obviously, this is a melee build, and health capacity to not only you, but your minions, and that's really helpful for your minions to keep them alive. Then we're going to go 4 points in Importance of Suffering, giving us more status effect damage. A lot of our damage comes from status effects, and we're going to throw 1 point over here into Sanguine Fiends, which gives you and your minions some healing, so it's, again, more sustained for your minions to keep them up longer. And a little bit for yourself. And this is also a kill skill build, and we will be proccing a lot of kill skills. So we're proccing this a lot, giving you a lot more survivability. Next one, Grave Fiends. This shit's OP. This shit's broken. I said it in my last video. I'll say it in this one. This is 12.5% increased damage dealt for you and your minions per stack. And we're getting in a skill that increases our kill skill max stacks by 3. So this stacks up to 6 times, meaning that this one skill alone gives you and your minions 75% bonus damage. That's crazy, really strong. I have to go this. This is broken. All right, then we're going into Recurrence. This gives you gun damage and melee damage. Now, as probably everyone guessed, a very good item or weapon with this build is the Mantra, because it's a gun that deals melee damage. And because it deals both gun damage and melee damage, it benefits a lot from this, because you're getting 40% gun damage and 50% melee damage on one skill at max stacks, and this will pretty much always be fully stacked because we're dealing so much melee damage and so much gun damage, again, with the Mantra, that it's pretty strong. Next, we're going to throw 1 point into hair specs. I really just throw 1 point to have it. The reason why I don't go extra points is because it gives you flat damage. As you can see, for each point, I'm getting 4,000 extra flat damage. But that flat damage, you can only proc whenever, this is off cooldown. So I don't throw my points into there. Instead, this is where you get most of your damage on melees. So this is a skill. And it's whenever you deal melee damage, it has a chance to basically deal 150% of that damage, as well on top of it as fire damage. Say damage again. Jesus Christ. Okay. This shit's OP. This shit is where a lot of your damage comes from. And because it is a skill, it procs other things. It counts as a skill. It can crit with skill crit chance. And it can also crit with melee crit chance, because it's also melee damage, right? So this is really, really strong, and I'll kind of talk about how this, in combination with some other things, becomes crazy OP and can deal like a fat bleed onto bosses and does really good bossing damage. Next, we're going to go Pincushion. In my opinion, if you're going to go hair specs, the throwing knives, you got to go Pincushion. It just makes it 5 daggers instead of 1, which is great. And the cooldown refund is pretty good too. Instead, here you're getting the cooldown is refunded on kills as a kill skill, but here instead it is every 3 kills you get it fully refunded. Now, note that this says kill skill there at the bottom. This actually procs on your kill skills, and as Vex, as a lot of you surely know, there's a skill that lets you proc kill skills when you critically hit. And that does actually reset this cooldown. So you don't need to kill things, you just need to crit to get this fully reset, which is really great. So you can just spam it on bosses, which again is really, really nice. Okay, now we're moving over to the green tree. Now, there is one other skill I didn't talk about in the blue tree, but it's kind of the one that you can go last, and you can put it somewhere else if you want to. So I'm just going to talk about, this is more like the core build, so I'm going to talk about that first. So we are doing kill skills. This is a kill skill build, and honestly, I'm just going to jump right here and talk about this. Grave Power, all your kill skills get +3 max stacks, which means this gets +3 max stacks as well. So at 5 ranks into this point, you get 15% crit damage per stack, stacking up to 3 times. So that would be 45% crit damage when it's fully stacked. But because we get another 3 stacks, it goes up to 90% crit damage right here on one skill when it's max stacked. And we get to keep our kill skills pretty much close to max stacks at all times, just because of the nature of killing things, as well as something else in our tree, which I'll talk about in 1 second. Okay, next we're going into Bloodletter. Shocker. This shit is like a lot of Vex's damage. It's just so much damage. On gun and skill crits, you deal a bleed. It does a portion of that damage over time. It counts as a status effect, etc. This thing is awesome. It just does a lot of damage, so there's, we have to go it. And then again, we go Grave Power, and then I just throw the 2 other points into Grave Implements. Now, there is an argument to be made to throw them into target prescience, giving you more gun critical hit chance. I throw them into this because for each skill, you get 4% gun damage per stack. So at max stacks, it's 12%, but we get the bonus 3 stacks from this skill here. So instead, each point you're putting into this is giving you 24% gun damage. And that's a lot of damage for 1 point into a skill. So I think it's worth it to throw a couple points into here. As well as with our specializations, we can get gun damage converted into other things as well. So this is really good. Then I throw a couple points into target prescience. This is really just for the crit chance. I have 3 from my class mod, which is why I don't go more here. If you wanted to go more here, you definitely can. But if you don't have to, that's also great too. I don't have to, so I threw some points into this. But you can throw more points into target prescience. And there's another skill that you can take points out of if you want to throw into this if you want to. It's all personal preference. Next, we're going Keen Mind. You get skill damage. Your skill damage gets critical hit chance. So this, like I said, counts for reverberations. And because this is so much damage, we want that to crit. Because if this does crit, then it procs this bleed, which does 30% of that skill damage over time per second for 4 seconds. So essentially 120% of that damage gets repeated as well as kinetic damage, which is crazy strong. So this is really good synergy, and I'll talk about kind of how it's really OP and how I'm like one-shotting Bloomreaper with the melees. So now we go finally 5 points in Immortal Terror. Now on the previous build, if you saw the previous video, we didn't have enough skill points to go 5 points in Immortal Terror, but now we do, which means keeping up our kill skills is so much easier than it was before, especially when bossing. Now again, because this only activates kill skills when you crit, throwing more points into target prescience, giving you more chances to crit, lets you keep this up even easier. I have enough points, so I don't think I really need to, and having the gun damage is nice for just general all-purpose use. But anyway, once you get all 5 points into this, I would say all of this is core, and I think I have 1 or 2 extra points in this tree that I don't need. Yeah, there's 2 points here that I don't technically need to put here, but I do anyway. Now, the last skill that I go into Prismatic Ichor, whatever you want to call it. Basically, whenever you or your minions apply a status effect, you apply another random status effect at 150% damage of the original one. Now, this skill here is optional. I wouldn't say that it has to go here. This just gives you a lot of damage. You could throw it into something else like, maybe Obedient Fiends if you want more minion damage. Maybe you want more crit damage and more gun damage, and you could throw it in here because this does give you a lot of gun damage, as I said, and this crit chance is really nice for keeping your kill skills active. It doesn't need to go in here. I just put it in here, and I'll kind of explain why once I go over the rest of the build. Post me here. Hi. I forgot to mention what augments I'm going. We're going the Reapers, so we're going to go Grim Reaper. This center tree is the only thing that gives you benefits to melee, really. So that's obviously the one that we're going to go for. It also gives you this Grim Reaper. And we're using the Hellish Harvest as a secondary. This lets the Reapers heal themselves up so they can last quite a bit longer out on the battlefield. Okay, so for guns, to no one's surprise, we're using the Mantra. This is a weapon that you get from killing Bloomreaper. And you also get the class mod that we're using from Bloomreaper. So it's really nice to farm Bloomreaper. And you kind of get everything you need except for the Slippy in one place from Bloomreaper, which is really great. Besides, like, you know, the other things, you know, we're not using technically everything from Bloomreaper, but if you just have a Mantra and just have this class mod, this build will be so strong, and the rest of the stuff you don't really need. The core of it is just from Bloomreaper. So we're using a Mantra. It does melee damage. Obviously, that's very important and synergizes very well with all the melee damage we're speccing into in our build, and the melee damage that we proc from our skill trees. The melee damage counts for a lot of it. So for instance, this melee damage is also procced on the Mantra, so this procs twice. Reverberations can be procced from the Mantra, which is very nice. The melee damage bonuses and all of this critting stuff, the Bloodletter, all of this can proc from the Mantra, so it's a lot of synergy there. Next, we're using the Shiny War Paint with Hard Hitter for some melee damage. This isn't necessary. Honestly, the rep kit is kind of up to choice. If you want more survivability, you can use a Kill Spring. If you want more damage, you can use really anything with Hard Hitter. This also gives you more fire rate, which is really nice. So this is probably the most damage you'll get out of the rep kit, but I digress. Not needed. Next, we're going a Slippy. I got one with Nuke. This shit is obviously really strong because it does melee damage. Great. Next, we'll talk about the class mod. I don't know how to pronounce that, but this is the one that we're going. It drops from Bloomreaper. I have one with 4 points into hair specs and 3 points into target prescience, and that's really good. But more importantly, it comes with 10% skill critical hit chance default. But if you can get it with melee crit chance, I would try and find one with melee crit chance. We have no melee crit chance in our build at all. So this gives us some, which also stacks with a lot of other things. It adds to your Mantra. It also adds to your daggers as crit chance as well. So having the melee crit chance stacks with a lot of the damage that we do, giving you more chances to crit, more chances to proc bleed, etc. It's really good. Next, I tried a couple of shields here, okay? I tried the heavyweight, and the heavyweight's good, but because it consumes armor segments when you deal melee damage, a lot of the time you don't have a shield at all. And fighting Bloomreaper on True UVH 6 was really hard to stay alive. So I used a Watts for Dinner with Siphon. Yeah, this is really good. I also did try this new shield, the Elpis Star from the DLC. This shit fucking sucks. Now, I don't have footage of it right now, but I'll go and get some. Because it's so easy, I'll just shoot the Mantra, and you'll see how little damage this does. But it's pretty pathetic. If they're gonna make cool shields like this, I really hate when they don't make it, like, do a lot. That's really frustrating. Like, it would be really nice if the Meteor Cluster did damage based on your melee damage. In that case, you could scale it. But this isn't scalable. It's just really shit flat damage. Not good. So I stick with the Watts for Dinner. That's the wrong one. The Watts for Dinner. Yeah, and Siphon helps your survivability a lot. Finally, the enhancement. Mantra weapons. These things synergize really, really well with Ripper parts. I talked about it before, but essentially I'll show you quick here. But without a Ripper part, it fires in like these little bursts. But with a Ripper part, you can just hold it down and it fires a lot faster, and it finishes the entire mag. Now, with this enhancement, it's a Ripper enhancement, it gives you freeloader. Freeloader is really important, which means you have a 30% chance on emptying your mag to automatically just refill it. So there's a 30% chance that you can just spam this again for free, which is awesome. And again, after reloading, there's a 30% chance to increase the next mag's fire rate by 100%. So if you have that fire rate by 100% and your mag refills twice in a row, then you have a 100% fire rate for 3 magazines, which is really, really great damage. It's kind of a flip, but I kind of love that. I'm not going to lie. I love the gambling aspect of this build, and I'll talk a little bit more about the gambling aspect of this build in just a second. Woo! But This one's giving gun critical hit damage, which of course crit damage is always good, and splash radius. Now the splash mantras deal splash damage, so this gives it a little bit more splash radius, which helps you as well for vile enemies. You can actually deal with vile enemies relatively easily with the mantra, and you don't need a wombo combo or anything like that. Finally, I also have the Crazed Earl on this thing. It's great. It's super fun to use, and it's pretty strong with this build because obviously it deals melee damage. It's fucking awesome. This shit took me 4 hours to farm. You don't need it. The mantra is better for bossing as well, honestly. So you really don't need this, but it is fun to use on this build if you want to try it. Next, we're going full skill craft. Now, someone in my comments on the last video, I had action fists. I had 3 in action fist instead of skillcraft, and the guy was like, wouldn't it be more bossing damage if you did skillcraft? He was 100% right. I originally with that build was going like, oh, we want to do, we want our minions to do a lot of the damage, but they're inconsistent. Skillcraft is more damage overall for you and your minions, honestly. I just did it because it's a fist and it's a melee thing, so you might as well go the melee thing on the melee build. But Skillcraft is definitely the most damage, especially for bossing. And then secondary, we're going 2 into Real Big Fist for the extra 50% melee damage. Now we're going to talk specializations, and then I'm going to talk about how all of this synergizes, okay? So first of all, we're going to go Bare Arms and Groundbreaker. 2 melee ones, of course. Those ones are pretty... Groundbreaker is pretty must. Another one that's pretty must, in my opinion, is a Honed Mind. Now, this is actually skill damage, so it's not action skill damage. This is it's skill damage and skill critical hit chance. So this does actually work with your reverberations, giving you more chance to crit on that ability, which gives it that bleed chance, etc., which is really, really good. So these 2, in my opinion, are core, and you kind of need them. Groundbreaker and a Honed Mind. Now, a Bare Arms. Why is this not that strong? Because realistically, we don't have that much gun damage. Let's assume that we're fully stacked. We get gun damage from this, which is 8% times 6. So it's going to be, what is that, quick math? 48%. All right. Plus 50 or 40% here. So we're getting 88% gun damage at max stacks, which means specializations, speccing into this, it's giving us less than 50% gun damage for this one specialization. And then same thing for the skill damage. Now this, like I said, is the same as a Honed Mind, where it's skill damage, not action skill damage, which is really beneficial for us because a lot of our damage is coming from the skills that we do and not even just the melees, the skills like Bloodletter and Reverb, okay? So this would be strong, and this would be strong if we had more gun damage. We don't have a lot of gun damage spec'd in right now, so they're not the strongest. So another one that we do want is Contamination, because crits grant status effect application chance. And your Bloodletter over here benefits from that. So instead of being a 50% chance, it will become a 100% chance on crit to deal bleed damage. And we do really, really want that. So this specialization is really strong. In my opinion, it's definitely better than I Am a Gun and better than Bare Arms. Now the next one would be Compounding Afflictions. Enemies take increased damage for each status effect applied to them. This is likely better than Bare Arms as well. Once I get to this specialization, I'm a little too lazy to respec. Honestly, no, even respecking I wouldn't be able to get to it anyway. I'm close to getting to it. I would spec out of Bare Arms and into Compounding Afflictions to just deal more overall damage, because we are going to be proccing a ton of status effects on our enemies when we're spamming them with the mantra, specifically for bossing. For mobbing, you can kind of go whatever you want. This build's strong enough. You can just do whatever the hell you want. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about how it all synergizes. So the idea behind it is we want to crit with reverberations. So we want to hit a reverberations, which is 50% of the time on melees, okay? And we want this crit, or we want this ability to crit. Because if it crits, so 50% chance to proc it, and then the chance to crit, which is the 10% melee chance from my class mod, the 15% skill chance from here, Jesus Christ, voice crack, and the 5% chance from a Honed Mind over here. So that's a 30% chance to crit. So we want this to proc, and we want it to crit. And if it does, holy shit, it does so much damage, especially if it's proccing Groundbreaker, which often it is because we're doing it on our Hera specs or our pin cushion. Our thrown daggers is generally the thing that I use to proc Groundbreaker. If it crits, it will bleed, dealing a percentage of its damage over time, which this fucking chunks, dude. I'm telling you. It does so much damage. And then if you get it on the right proc where that bleed then gets 150% of the damage dealt on top of it from a different random status effect, it melts bosses. So it is kind of a flip to get all of that on the one hit. But when it happens, because it does happen, and it happens 30% of the time, right? Oh my god, dude. It is insane. It's insane damage. So I will say that the Bloomreaper bossing at the beginning of the video, he doesn't get one shot like that every time. That doesn't happen every time. It only happens sometimes. So most of the time it looks like this. I'll play it on the screen. It's a little bit slower, but it's still really good damage. But it's not that like, oof, that big one-shot knife throw that's oh so satisfying every time. And the fact that it isn't that every time kind of horns me up. I'm not going to lie. I fucking love it. I love that it's like you're flipping it every time. And sometimes you're just going to absolutely one-shot melt Bloomreaper. And sometimes you won't. Sometimes you'll still kill him fast on True UVH 6, but you're not going to absolutely one-shot him. I kind of like that because it keeps the novelty of that one-shot alive. When you do get that one-shot, oh my god. It's like it just tickles things in your brain that have never been tickled before. It's amazing. But yeah, that's pretty much the build. That's exactly how everything, works. That's the synergies and all of that stuff. I'll just leave you with like this footage of killing Bloomreaper. I killed Bloomreaper a bunch of times. You can kill him quite consistently on True UVH 6. Just something to note that if you are fighting him on True UVH 6, to kill him consistently, you gotta throw out all the stops at the top. The hardest part is the crystals for you, because you don't have that much AoE damage. It's a lot of single target damage. So you want to drop all your minions and throw your slippies and proc your rep kit all before you do the crystals and get that phase done as fast as possible. And then once you finish that phase, you want to make sure that you're killing enemies. You want to make sure you're killing enemies to keep your kill skills active. That is super, super important. So when you start hitting Bloomreaper, you're not like low on your kill skills. You have a couple of stacks of them already. So then when you do hit Bloomreaper, then you crit Bloomreaper, and then that triggers your kill skills more with Mortal Terror to keep them stacked up. But to get them stacked before you start hitting them, you want to be killing things. That's really the key to killing Bloomreaper on True UVH 6 with this build. You can do it quite consistently. Anyway, that's pretty much it from me. If you did enjoy, I would really appreciate it if you hit that like button. That would help me out a lot. And in the future, I'm looking at making a Trouble build. Now, I may have discovered something that might make Trouble actually really strong, but I'm not 100% sure. I haven't tested it yet. So keep an eye out for that if you're into playing Vex. I'm going to be making a Trouble build that I hope is OP. I'll be posting it regardless of how strong it is. But keep an eye out for that. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.